Sagittarius, you're surviving sandwich burdens. Embrace adventure and duties. When freedom feels far away. There are days, Sagittarius, when you wake up and feel like you've forgotten how to breathe. The dawn comes quietly, and instead of that familiar spark of excitement for the unknown, you feel the dull ache of repetition, the lists, the calls, the endless giving. You rise for everyone else before you rise for yourself. Somewhere between packing lunches and checking on your parents, the wild, laughing version of you, the one who once chased the sunrise just to see how it felt, has gone quiet. You are the eternal traveler of the Zodiac, born under Jupiter's wide sky, wired for meaning, movement, and expansion. Yet lately, even your dreams feel smaller. The world has folded in on itself, your freedom exchanged for responsibility. You love deeply, your family, your home, your duty. But love has become heavy, something you carry rather than something that carries you. This is the paradox of the Sagittarius caregiver. You crave adventure, but life demands constancy. You long to wander, but others need you to stay. You promise yourself that one day you'll take that trip again, that one day you'll have time for books, for music, for laughter that isn't exhausted. But the days blur together and you wonder, can I still be myself while holding up everyone else? And yet, beneath the fatigue, beneath the quiet resentment you barely allow yourself to name, your inner fire is still alive. It flickers under the surface, waiting for you to look inward instead of outward. The truth is, adventure has never been about location. It has always been about perception. The Sagittarius spirit can find freedom anywhere, even within duty, if she learns to see through the eyes of her cosmic wisdom. The stars whisper now, gently but firmly. You are not meant to disappear inside care. You are meant to evolve through it, to bring your explorer's heart into the very structure that once felt like confinement. This journey, though unexpected, is still yours. There are still discoveries to make, still horizons within the heart to explore. So tonight, when the house is finally quiet and you feel that longing rise again, don't silence it. That longing is not rebellion. It's remembrance. You haven't lost your adventurous spirit, dear Sagittarius. You've simply been asked to travel differently. Your adventure continues, not across continents this time, but across the landscape of care, compassion, and cosmic growth. The universe is not asking you to escape your duties. It's asking you to infuse them with wonder. Chapter 1: The Sagittarius Dilemma. Freedom and captivity. There's a unique ache that lives in your chest these days, Sagittarius. A quiet restlessness beneath the tenderness. You adore the people you care for. They are your heart's anchor. Yet, as you move through each day, from preparing meals to managing medications, from listening to others' worries to quieting your own, you can feel your once vast spirit slowly shrinking to fit the narrow rhythm of duty. You were not born for smallness. Jupiter, your ruling planet, crafted you for expansion, for exploring, questioning, seeking meaning in every corner of existence. You are the sign of wide skies and wild laughter, of learning through experience and teaching through joy. But now those skies feel heavy with obligation. You wake to routines that leave no room for flight. Your fire, once adventurous and playful, burns now as endurance, a steady flame held too long without renewal. The caregiving journey can be both sacred and suffocating. You give endlessly, your time, your patience, your energy, because that's what love has always meant to you. But love, when unbalanced, begins to wear down even the brightest souls. Slowly, exhaustion blurs into numbness. Optimism turns into obligation. And the woman who once lived through intuition begins living through lists. Across the world, this quiet crisis grows louder. Demographic shifts show that nearly half of women in their 40s and 50s now care for both parents and children at once, the so-called sandwich generation. These women, often the emotional centers of their families, face increasing rates of burnout, isolation, and even health decline. The world depends on their giving hearts, yet rarely asks how they're holding up. You, Sagittarius, feel this imbalance deeply, because your spirit cannot thrive in confinement. When your days are filled only with service, your soul starts to whisper, there must be more than this. But that whisper is not ingratitude. It is your cosmic compass trying to guide you home. You are not being unfaithful to your loved ones by yearning for joy. You are being faithful to your own divine design. Freedom, for you, has always been a way of being, not just movement but meaning. It's time to redefine what adventure looks like in this season of life. Perhaps the journey now isn't outward but inward. A search for balance, purpose, and spaciousness even within responsibility. What if the mundane could become your new frontier? What if caregiving itself could transform into a spiritual expedition? A quest for wisdom hidden inside the everyday. Start small. Notice beauty in repetition. The softness of a morning light across the kitchen table. The rhythm of a parent's breath as they rest. The laughter that breaks through exhaustion for a single shining second. Each of these is a landscape worth exploring. Adventure doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. To reclaim your vitality, you must give yourself permission to exist beyond usefulness. To take a walk alone without guilt. To pause between tasks and stretch toward the sun. To allow curiosity to return, not as escape but as renewal. You are not meant to fade quietly into caretaking. You are meant to weave wonder through it. Even in responsibility, I can travel through meaning. My spirit expands through presence, not absence. Chapter 2: Astrology as Compass. Rediscovering adventure through cosmic timing. There is a sacred intelligence woven through the sky, Sagittarius, and though you may feel anchored to routines and responsibilities, that intelligence still speaks directly to you. It speaks through the pull of the moon, through the steady rhythm of Jupiter's orbit, through the subtle pauses of Mercury's retrogrades. When the noise of caregiving drowns out your inner voice, astrology becomes the quiet language that leads you home. For you, a child of Jupiter and fire, life has never been about simple survival. It has always been about expansion, not just outwardly but spiritually. Even in your most confined moments, the cosmos reminds you that meaning still moves beneath the surface. The map is still alive. You are still traveling even if your body has stayed in one place. When you feel trapped in duty, look up. The planets above are never still, and neither are you. Every cycle mirrors your own. Contraction, reflection, release, and renewal. Jupiter, your guiding planet, governs purpose, abundance, and wisdom. Its cycles often mark moments when your perspective shifts, when you finally understand what all the struggle was trying to teach you. During Jupiter's direct motion, you may notice your optimism slowly rekindling. Life begins to feel expansive again. These are your windows of light, cosmic openings when it's easier to reconnect with joy, to take risks, to plan small adventures that remind you of who you are. They don't have to be grand gestures. A spontaneous walk through a botanical garden, a morning drive to a lake you've never visited, an evening journaling by candlelight about dreams you still hold. These are sacred acts of renewal. They reawaken the archer's flame. And then there are Jupiter's retrograde periods, those seasons of inner review. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, imagine them as spiritual recalibrations. When Jupiter moves backward, it's as if the universe turns a mirror toward you, asking, "Are you still aligned with what truly nourishes you?" During these times, reflect on the balance between giving and receiving. Ask yourself whether you've been living by choice or by expectation. Retrogrades aren't punishments, they're pauses. They invite you to slow down and listen to what your intuition has been whispering beneath the noise. For a woman in the thick of caregiving, these cosmic pauses can become your lifelines, the rare moments when you remember that rest, too, is sacred motion. Mercury, the planet of communication and clarity, also offers its quiet wisdom. When Mercury moves direct, conversations that once felt impossible suddenly flow with ease. This is the time to voice your needs, to express your truth, to tell your loved ones, "I need help," without shame. The cosmos supports honesty. It rewards transparency. And during Mercury retrograde, when communication tends to falter, it's not the world working against you. It's life asking you to rethink the way you speak to yourself. How often do you silence your exhaustion? How often do you swallow your own needs because you believe they're less important? Use those reflective cycles to rewrite your internal dialogue. Replace self-criticism with compassion. Let your inner voice become gentler, wiser, more forgiving. And then there is Uranus, the celestial disruptor, the planet of awakening. When Uranus activates your Sagittarius placements, expect surprise, liberation, and sudden clarity. You might find yourself reimagining what caregiving can look like. Perhaps you adopt a new system for organizing tasks or discover technology that lightens your daily load. Maybe you stumble upon a community support group that reminds you that you're not alone. Uranus doesn't dismantle your life to punish you. It shakes loose what has outgrown its purpose. It invites you to innovate, to rebuild in alignment with your truth. You Sagittarius are made for reinvention. Your mutable fire thrives when it's given freedom to adapt and explore. Under Uranus influence, you can learn to transform chaos into creativity, to turn the ordinary into something meaningful and alive. Your cosmic compass also includes the moon, the timekeeper of emotion. When life feels too loud, let lunar rhythm become your guide. During new moons, set small intentions that nurture vitality. Better sleep, gentler mornings, a moment of solitude each day. These intentions are seeds, and like all seeds, they require consistency and care. During full moons, practice release. Write down what has been heavy, the guilt, the overextension, the silent resentment, and burn or bury that list as an offering to the universe. Feel how lightness begins to return to your body as you let go of what no longer belongs to you. Lunar cycles teach us that nothing stays the same, not even exhaustion. Everything is in motion, always turning toward renewal. When the moon passes through fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, your energy lifts naturally. These are the days to move your body, to take action, to express rather than contain. Dance while cooking. Stretch before sleep. Let music fill your home. Fire must move to stay alive. If you suppress it, it turns into frustration or fatigue. Reclaim your spark by honoring your element. You don't need permission to glow. In astrology, timing is sacred. There are seasons for silence and seasons for expansion. Sagittarius, your exhaustion is not permanent. It's cyclical, like the sky itself. When you align your rhythms with celestial flow, you begin to understand that caregiving does not have to consume you. It can coexist with your adventure, with your longing for meaning. The key is to stop resisting what is and instead move with the current. The planets remind you that life's beauty often unfolds between the extremes, between giving and receiving, between solitude and service, between effort and surrender. So the next time you feel confined, look up. Watch Jupiter glowing gently in the night sky. A reminder that even the largest planet must orbit, must pause, must return. Watch the moon's soft changing light and remember that nothing, not even fatigue, is forever. Let Mercury guide your words, Uranus your innovation, and the stars your patience. You are not trapped, dear Archer. You are transforming. Your life, though demanding, is still a cosmic dance. And you, with your wild heart and infinite curiosity, are still the dancer. Every sunrise, every quiet moment between tasks, every whisper of gratitude. These are not interruptions to your journey. They are the journey. The cosmos never meant for you to stop exploring. It only asked you to explore differently, inward, slower, deeper. Through each act of care, you are learning the hardest lesson of all. That adventure and responsibility are not opposites. They are, in truth, two expressions of love. Affirmation. I walk in rhythm with the stars. Even in stillness, I am in motion. Every duty holds discovery. Every day brings expansion, and my life, no matter how confined it seems, is an ever-widening sky. Chapter 3: The Human Landscape. Demographics, Connection, and the Shared Journey. Across the world, Sagittarius, millions of women walk parallel to you, carrying groceries, managing appointments, soothing fears, and balancing their family's emotional climates while their own needs remain unspoken. You might think your story is singular, a private fatigue that no one else truly sees, but the data tells another truth. Sociologists call it the sandwich generation, a phrase that sounds almost gentle, but behind it lies a profound reality of imbalance. In the United States alone, more than half of women between 45 and 55 are simultaneously supporting children and aging parents. The statistics are similar across Europe, and while the numbers are often cited clinically, each percentage point represents a heart. A woman like you, awake at midnight wondering how she'll keep doing this tomorrow. The burden is not only logistical, it's deeply emotional. In societies where independence is idealized, caregiving remains invisible work, rarely honored, rarely shared. American culture often praises the myth of self-sufficiency. You can do it all. But what that myth really demands is silence. It tells women that asking for help is weakness, that exhaustion is simply the price of love. In contrast, European social structures, while more supportive in theory, are straining under demographic shifts. The systems built to ease care are stretched thin by aging populations, leaving families, especially women, to bridge the gaps. Whether in Boston or Berlin, Lisbon or Chicago, the pattern repeats. The feminine energy of the world is stretched to breaking, pouring out endlessly with little return. And yet, this shared struggle is not just a story of depletion. It's a story of awakening. Sagittarius, you are ruled by Jupiter, the philosopher, the teacher, the great expander of consciousness. You see connections others overlook. You can look at this global pattern not as tragedy but as initiation, a collective soul lesson that is shaping the next era of feminine strength. Through each woman learning to set boundaries, to speak her truth, to rest without guilt, the world itself is recalibrating. You are not just caring for your family. You are helping humanity evolve toward balance. But even a spiritual warrior needs companionship. Isolation is the shadow that grows in silence, and connection is the medicine that dissolves it. The modern world makes solitude feel normal. Everyone busy, everyone pretending to be fine. But Sagittarius, you were born to bridge distances. You find healing in conversation, in shared laughter, in truth exchanged across boundaries. It's time to turn that gift outward again. Seek out communities where women like you gather, whether online or in person. There are circles for caregivers, meditation groups for mothers, astrology-based support networks that meet beneath virtual moons. Within those spaces you will find your reflection. Other archers walking through their own storms, each one carrying both exhaustion and courage. When you share your story, it changes shape. What once felt like shame begins to transform into belonging. When you listen to another woman's story, her exhaustion, her hidden grief, her tiny victories, something inside you exhales. You remember that you are not failing. You are simply human. The pressure to be boundless begins to ease, replaced by compassion for yourself. Jupiter's lesson is always expansion through understanding, and connection is the most expansive act of all. You might also find wisdom in studying cultural contrasts. Notice how some European societies are beginning to reimagine caregiving not as private duty, but as shared social responsibility. Notice how younger generations are starting to challenge the old myths of endless productivity. Let these shifts inspire you, not with envy but with possibility. You are part of this global evolution. Every time you claim rest, every time you ask for support, every time you honor your limits, you contribute to rewriting the story of care for women everywhere. There is also something deeply healing in naming what has been unspoken. Start with yourself. Speak out loud the truth you've carried. I am tired. I love deeply but I need space to breathe. These words are spells of release. They open the door for others to speak too. What begins as vulnerability quickly becomes solidarity. And through that solidarity a new energy arises, not the restless independence of the past, but the radiant interdependence of the future. This Sagittarius is your higher calling. To see the invisible web connecting every caregiver, every mother, every daughter, every woman balancing between worlds. You are the storyteller of the Zodiac, and your role now is to narrate not just your own healing, but our collective one. When you speak, when you share, when you listen, you transform the heaviness of care into wisdom that lights the way for others. Remember, even in fatigue, your spirit remains expansive. You have always traveled far. Not just across landscapes but through understanding. This season of life, though demanding, offers you a new kind of exploration. The adventure of empathy, of community, of realizing that even in your most solitary hours, you are never truly alone. Across continents, other Sagittarius women, other seekers of meaning, are breathing under the same sky, asking the same questions and finding their answers, one act of courage at a time. Affirmation. I am part of a larger story of care and awakening. My love connects me to the world. Through truth and community I find both strength and peace. Chapter 4 Zodiac Practices for Daily Vitality. Sagittarius, vitality has always been your birthright. You were born beneath Jupiter's generous skies, designed to move, to question, to live through experience. Yet, in this chapter of life, the endless caregiving, the fatigue that creeps in even after sleep, the quiet ache of feeling unseen, your vitality no longer feels like a gift. Feels like something that slipped away while you weren't looking. But your fire is not gone. It has only gone inward, waiting for your awareness to call it back. This is where daily zodiac practices, small intentional rituals attuned to your element, can restore that fire from within. Begin with the morning sky, your first portal of power. Sagittarius is ruled by light, by movement, by the vastness of open air. Each dawn before the house stirs, step outside or simply open a window. Let the morning air meet your skin and breathe deeply, as if inhaling from Jupiter itself. Whisper to the horizon. Today I will expand even in small ways. This is not about control. It's about alignment. Each breath becomes a contract between you and the universe, a reminder that you belong to something infinite, even as your day begins with small human tasks. As the hours unfold, carve moments of micro-adventure. Sagittarius does not need grand quests to feel alive. She needs purpose within motion. If your morning is filled with errands, approach them as a moving meditation. Notice color, sound, texture. The ordinary world glows differently when you look through the eyes of the archer. Between appointments, take 5 slow breaths and ask yourself, where am I giving from emptiness, and where am I giving from joy? This is how you conserve energy, by discerning what feeds your flame and what quietly drains it. When your energy dips midday, bring in the healing element of fire consciously. Light a candle on your desk or near your kitchen counter, not as decoration but as dialogue. Gaze softly into the flame and imagine it burning away the fatigue that clings to your shoulders. Feel its warmth, remind your body of its divine intelligence. The candle is a mirror of your soul, luminous, alive even in stillness. As you breathe with it, repeat quietly, my fire is sacred. My warmth is enough. Movement, too, is essential medicine for a Sagittarius body. You are ruled by hips and thighs, symbols of forward motion, of stepping boldly into life. Even 5 minutes of stretching can shift your energy profoundly. When the weight of care feels heavy, stand up, roll your shoulders back, lift your face toward light, and take one slow, expansive breath. Feel how your body remembers freedom. It never left. It was simply buried under obligation. Moving your body reminds your spirit that expansion is still possible, even within walls. Astrologically, there are days when energy flows more easily. When the fire signs Aries, Leo, Sagittarius are strong in the sky, or when Jupiter forms harmonious angles with the sun or moon. These are your power days. On such days, give yourself permission to dream again. Write down one thing you long for, a course you want to take, a place you want to visit, a piece of yourself you want to rediscover. Sagittarius energy thrives when pointed toward a horizon. Even if that horizon is metaphorical, emotional, spiritual, or creative, naming it reignites your compass. On days ruled by earth or water signs, the energy slows. These are your restoration days, invitations to refuel rather than strive. Use them to practice stillness, to cook slowly, to rest without guilt. The universe moves in rhythm, so must you. When you honor the cycles above, your body begins to mirror them below. You stop pushing against nature and start moving with her. And in that surrender, you rediscover balance. At night, the moon becomes your companion. Journal under her light, not as a record of pain but as a conversation with your own wisdom. Ask yourself what the day taught you about resilience, about patience, about love. Then close with gratitude, not forced but felt. Thank the universe for sustaining you through another day of giving and receiving. Gratitude for Sagittarius is a gateway to joy. It softens the edges of duty and transforms care into purpose. Finally, end your day with a short fire meditation for renewal. Sit quietly in darkness, one hand on your heart, one on your solar plexus. Visualize a flame glowing between your palms, bright, golden, steady. With each breath, imagine that flame expanding through your entire being, illuminating your lungs, your spine, your mind. Whisper softly, I am light. I am free. My energy returns to me now. Feel warmth spread through you. Not from effort but from recognition. This is the energy you were born with, the spark that no amount of caregiving can extinguish. These zodiac practices are not another list of things to do. They are small doors back to yourself. Each breath, each moment of awareness, each ritual of gratitude is an act of rebellion against exhaustion. You cannot control the demands around you, but you can control the quality of your energy. And when you tend to it intentionally, when you honor your fire with rhythm, rest, and reverence, life begins to feel lighter, even when it's still full. You are the archer, Sagittarius. You aim toward meaning. The stars above are not far from your hands. They live within your heartbeat. Each day you choose presence over resentment. Each time you seek adventure in the ordinary, you realign with your essence. You may not be climbing mountains or boarding planes right now, but make no mistake, you are still journeying. The path just looks different. Quieter, deeper, luminous with wisdom. Affirmation. Adventure is not gone. It lives in how I show up to life each day. My fire moves through duty, my joy breathes beneath routine, and my vitality returns with every conscious breath I take. Adventure within stillness. You've walked far on this journey, Sagittarius. Not across countries or oceans, but through the landscapes of patience, endurance, and rediscovery. You've stood in the center of chaos and still managed to keep the fire alive, even when it burned small and quiet. This is not the adventure you once imagined, but it is perhaps the most profound one of all, the adventure of finding expansion inside limitation, of meeting yourself not out there in the world, but right here in the heart of care. You used to define adventure by distance, new places, new experiences, new stories. But now you understand that true adventure has never been about movement. It has always been about awareness. It's the moment you choose presence over escape, curiosity over despair, wonder over fatigue. It's finding beauty in the ordinary, the rhythm of your loved one's breathing, the sunlight warming your window, the laughter that bubbles up unexpectedly between chores. These are your new frontiers. These are the spaces where freedom still lives. The Sagittarius woman is the universe's philosopher. Even in struggle, she searches for meaning, for the deeper lesson beneath every challenge. Through caregiving, you've learned that love isn't a straight line. It's circular, reciprocal, alive. You've discovered that strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's the quiet courage to keep showing up, day after day, without losing compassion. You've realized that caring for others doesn't have to mean abandoning yourself. You can give and rest. You can serve and dream. You can hold the world and still hold yourself. The stars have been your silent companions through this entire season. Jupiter, reminding you that joy is always possible. Uranus, pushing you toward reinvention. The moon, cradling you in rhythm and release. They've shown you that every orbit includes both expansion and retreat, that even the brightest planets need periods of stillness to shine again. You are no different. The quiet moments you once resented are now invitations, sacred spaces for reflection, for breathing, for remembering your own vastness. In this stillness, your fire doesn't dim. It refines. It burns more steadily, more intentionally. You no longer need to chase the horizon to feel alive. The horizon now lives within you. In your capacity for wonder, in your openness to small joys, in your trust that this chapter, too, belongs to your greater story. Freedom is no longer about running. It's about being. Fully, presently, courageously. So when you wake tomorrow and step into another day of caregiving, do it differently. Move with reverence, with awareness. Treat each act, pouring tea, tucking someone in, washing the dishes, as a sacred ritual. This is not routine. This is devotion in motion. Every gesture of care becomes a prayer. Every breath a moment of renewal. You are not trapped in responsibility. You are dancing through it, guided by the stars. And when the day closes and silence returns, close your eyes and whisper to the universe. I am still the traveler, the seeker, the archer. My path is here, my fire is mine, and adventure lives in every heartbeat. You have not lost your essence, Sagittarius. You have only learned to live it differently, deeper, wiser, truer. The sky above you expands endlessly, but so does the one within you. Your fire, though tempered by life's demands, has become something stronger, not a flame that flickers wildly, but one that endures storms and still glows. Final affirmation. My journey continues not across miles, but within the boundless space of my own heart. I am both the giver and the receiver, the flame and the light it casts. In stillness, I rediscover adventure. In care, I rediscover myself.